So how do you take all of that and still be real to who you are there, and then be even more authentic to your spirituality? And I feel like the balance comes with just making sure that you walk in the light, you do what you're supposed to be doing. You can find the coexistence where it's like, yeah, I may slip up, and my language and everything ain't completely holy, but at the same time, if all sins are equal, there's something else I'm doing that's of equal detriment. So, we're not perfect, but we can always, if we're doing the right thing, I believe.
What's up, everybody? It's D. Will, representing Untapped Hip Hop here. Today we sitting with Curtis King, an IE legend, MC, producer, and teacher. Want to give him a little input on who you are, just a little brief synopsis.
Curtis King, artist, producer. As of more recent, marketing specialist, artist marketing specialist, producer marketing specialist. Teacher, but more so than anything else, just a giver of value. Is what I say. I'm at that location right now.
Okay, and what got you into like the marketing specialist and producer specialist side of everything?
I got into the specialist side purely by accident. I went to school in Orange Coast College, and I went there really to go get some marketing some music classes in particular, more so to learn music theory and world music. And I started off doing that, but then I saw that they had marketing courses, and I'd always heard about marketing and advertisement and just how the importance of knowing your own business. And
right.
I never saw myself, ever having a passion for marketing. And then I took, a few courses, and then a teacher took a liking to me and told me, he said, well, if you finish these other courses, you can get a marketing certificate. And I was like, I had no idea. So I finished the other courses, and during the duration of that time, I just developed this passion for marketing and advertisement. And honestly, it's another passion of mine aside from music, and everything goes hand in hand with both of those worlds. So that's kind of what got me into it, was that teacher, Dennis Morgan, who's just one of the most fascinating marketing minds I've ever come in contact with, even to this day.
That's what's up. And you said you had your passion for music. How far does that stem back?
As a child, I always had a passion for listening to music and feeling music. Like, I always knew that there was something about my connection with music that was different from most people my age when I was 7, 8, whatever the case may be. When most kids were listening to music and just dancing around like a fool. Like, I was really sitting there trying to analyze and figure out all the things that I liked about it.
Yeah.
Whether it was the way that the drums sounded or the way the piano sounded, or I would try to follow with my fingers what it was. But that goes as far back as when I was a kid. I've always been in households where music was a big thing. My mom playing everything from Lionel Richie to George Michael, and even Scarface my mom used to play. And my pops listened to a lot of Earth, Wind and Fire, a lot of funk, a lot of Cameo, and then he would also have the times where he listened to Ice Cube. So it was just, I always had a healthy balance, like a gumbo pot of all of this different music. And that's really where the passion stems from.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like just like hearing your story, and then trying to correlate to something that I've heard. Is like Pharrell, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How he had that album Sing Sound, and then he kind of touched bases on what that really meant.
Right.
And just knowing or hearing your story about how you came up from all this mixing pot of just sounds and music and stuff.
Right.
It sounds like that's something that really clicked with you and something that you feel like pursuing. When did you realize you wanted to be an MC and a producer? Was it like an early age, or was it something that you fell into later on in life?
Once again, that was something it was sort of a dare to actually write a verse. I'd always wrote poetry. I wrote spoken word, never for public. I just really just wrote it for myself, and it started off with you know, my first love, my very first love. And I was a kid, probably wasn't really love, but my first love. Like I wrote for her, and I wrote and you know, I never sent it to her, but that literally gave me a reason to write when it wasn't school time. And so as I shaped together all of the spoken word and all that poetry, I transitioned to talking about just like different things from my childhood, you know, whether it was certain ways I was raised, and just different things that I wanted to talk about and just really express myself as a kid. But then the passion for music came when, and it didn't come overnight, I shouldn't say that, but a homie of mine, me and him had already exchanged our love for music. We were like, man, you grew up on Snoop and Dog Pound, I grew up on this, that's crazy. Let me hear the stuff I wasn't able to hear when I was a kid, and let's exchange music. And so that was sort of our friendship, and our bond became stronger as brothers, and we ended up being in a group. And before we in the group, I remember one night he was like, man, you ever thought about rapping? And I was like, rapping? I was like, nah, bro, like, I wouldn't think about rapping. He was like, man, what if I said, take an hour, write something, and then get back on the phone? Like, we was up talking on the phone after school or whatever. Probably talking about some bull or whatever, but we were talking about something, and then he ended up saying that. And I was like, all right, cool, let's give it an hour. Hour passes, I wrote my first verse, and then, you know, in retrospect, it's terrible, but that's what gave me a start in writing music. And then as we did it, he was like, you want to do it again? And we kept having more and more sessions, and it got to a point where it was like, man, this is actually something that me and you seem to be, you know, getting good at it pretty quickly. But we need to have some principles of why we're doing this. It can't just be just for the fun of it. Even as kids, we didn't, you know, want to do it for the fun of it. It had to be something solid. And he said, man, all I know is, my homie was like, all I know is I want to get my grandmother out of this apartment, and I know you want to get your mama into a mansion one day. So let's push this music as far as we can, and then, you know, see if the fruits of our labor bring that. But as I started to get more into it and figure out the things that I actually like doing, not just rapping but producing, the passion just developed more and more the more I got more knowledge on it.
Okay, so like, obviously, you know, your passion for producing came after the MCing side of it?
Yeah, producing was a necessity. It was only it was done out of necessity.
It was because you needed to make your own beats?
Got to make my own beats. I was getting them off of mp3.com, I was getting them off of Napster, I was getting them off of Bearshare, all these just instrumentals that everybody else was rapping over, and just instrumentals from like the radio. And it gets to the point where it's like, you know, you can only rap on those so many times, and people were releasing mixtapes at that time because it was like early 2000s, and mixtapes out here in terms of like Southern Cali, because I was more so in the Downey, Carson, Long Beach, Compton area.
Oh shit.
Yeah, well, I went to high school in Downey.
Oh, well, I was born out there.
Okay, word. Yeah, man, I went to high school in Downey High. So that's where all of this stuff started at too. So really, I started making production because it was just like, man, we can only rap on the same beats that everybody in our local area who's a rapper has the same beats on their mixtape. How are we gonna do this? So
you differentiate yourself from
I had to, because you know, it was one of those things where we wanted to be successful by any means, and you know, we just didn't want to sound like everybody else. So I you know, I remember one time we were after school, me and him had to make a decision between NBA 2K2 and MTV Music Generator, and he left it up to me because like we both had $10 for it, and then went to you know, went there, and like we went to the actual electronic boutique, and somebody had sat the games right next to each other, and it was almost one of them things where like the universe is working, but ended up choosing the game, man, because I just felt like it was something that we were really passionate about rapping. And I didn't know how to produce. I was scared to death of having to be the producer of the group. But
so you think if you picked up 2K2, you'd be playing basketball right now?
No, I'd probably still be playing 2K something. I don't think I'll be doing any of this. But I mean, I think it's you know, it just shows you that those decisions you make, as much as they feel like very childish decisions, I haven't stopped for the last 13 years.
Yeah, everything. Like I've always been a believer that, you know, there's a reason behind every choice made out there. You know, because like you said, you could have picked up 2K2, and like you said, you'd probably be playing another 2K game right now, or not doing
working
else,
somewhere
you know?
that I hate. Working somewhere that I hate, so I can spend my free time, playing 2K, and that's just not the life that I had envisioned. And just literally sitting down there, not knowing I knew how to work a PlayStation. I knew that.
Yeah.
I didn't have a computer for music. I didn't have a laptop for music, but I had a PlayStation. I knew how to work that. And so I sat there with it, and I just step by step I taught myself, just how to do things, because there wasn't no tutorials. There weren't no books in the library on how to make beats on a PlayStation.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was just trial and error, and just trying to figure out how to kind of progress from there. But that really started my production career. And the more I started progressing with both and trying to find a balance, my production side would just skyrocket over everything I was doing as an artist. So, and still to this day, I feel like my production, surpasses what most people think about me in terms of my art. It surpasses what I think they think about, with my artistry as an artist. But at the end of the day, I'm just a creative,
Okay.
So.
And then I guess we're gonna fast forward a little bit. You producing now. You've done some major names. I'm not gonna mention any that just because you don't want me to like.
No, it's all good. It's all
okay,
good.
like all right. So you've been with some major names. TDE, Absol, Kendrick, Murs.
Yeah.
You're working with local talents out here, Noah James. As a producer, is there anything in like producing for a young MC? What are you looking for? Is there a particular artist that you like to work with over another type of artist? Not like style wise, but just drive wise. Like you got to see something.
I mean, I like working. I like working with artists that have a clear vision, but at the same time are open to changing that vision or open to going another direction. I don't have a favorite in terms of who I work with. If I did have to pick a favorite, it'd probably just be like the homie Noah as a artist, because it's just we click. I know what he wants. He knows where I'm gonna go. So the chemistry is dope. But even like as a producer working with my dudes from the Chill Palace, Captain, Oh Gosh, Leotis, Navi, and Villain, all of these dudes are just extraordinary talent, and they get it. So when I'm an artist and they're a producer, they let me focus on just being an artist, and I don't have to even worry about like, oh man, this is how you do an echo, this basic stuff. So I think everybody's their own unique experience. I enjoy working with different people, because I learned something from every one of those, even from the early days of Kendrick and seeing where he's been able to take everything, to basically being like, he's just that dude in this genre. It's just amazing to see all of those things and have opportunities to work with people who have done some amazing things.
Okay, that's what's up. And I guess we roughly the same age, we from the same generation. Growing up, I feel like we grew up in that transition period of hip hop. We got we were young during the gangster rap era, and then we kind of transitioned into this newer, modern, more trap music and stuff.
Right.
How did you find that transition? Did you was it something that came easy for you to just like, I don't know if you started producing more hardcore gangster. I heard or I seen your video where you was talking about you like doing more trap music, but you have to make music for what's what people want instead of what you like. Like, what was that transition like for you though?
Well, you talking about the transition between the two?
Between the two like eras, you know what I mean? Because like I said, we grew up in that pivotal point where it was like gangster rap, a lot of MCs died during the early '90s and things started changing. And did you notice it, or was it something that just came natural to you?
I mean, I love music. I love listening to music I love listening to music that inspires new ideas or inspires me to look at things in a different way. So there was music that I was listening to. I could never listen just to one type of music. I was never one of the guys that was like, it gotta be pure hip hop or it's gotta be pure R&B. I want to listen to everything that feels good, everything that has a message, everything that is just, you know, really a lot of energy being put towards it. It just makes me feel a certain way. So that being said, I never worried about keeping up with the times. I just had to make sure that whatever I based my music on, it had a foundation that was sustainable. So if I make music, for instance, Murs is one of my favorite people, period. Like I learn from him because when I see him at shows and I look at his audience, I'll give you an example. His audience can be a mother who was a fan since the Living Legend days, a daughter who graduated from college who grew up during the Murs and Ninth Wonder era, and then a new, you know, and then her little sister, her daughter or her little sister, at the same show, enjoying the same artist. The reason why he has longevity is because he talks about relationships and things that just never die.
Yeah.
You know, the concept of relationships. No matter what people are out here talking about in music, people are still in relationships. People are still falling in love. You know, people are still going through depression. People are still going through heartbreak. People are still going through happiness. And I think that when you focus more on the context of, you know, what are you talking about? I don't think it necessarily matters what aesthetic you're doing it over, as long as you're specifically talking to the audience that still wants that. So if you're a golden age hip hop artist, you gotta find folks who appreciate that niche and understand that you shouldn't be out there trying to open up for Fetty Wap. It just doesn't make any sense, and I see it all the time. I see underground artists who go open up for Fetty Wap and then go on Twitter and Facebook and talk about how that people are killing hip hop, and it's like it's contradictory because it's like you're not even in the right place. It's like going to a florist and looking for some Jordans. Like you're in the wrong place completely.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that I always try to make sure is centered in my music, is that I focus on the principles of what is the emotion of this song. Okay, this song is jubilant. I want to make people feel good. Well, if they listen to it today and feel good, 10 years from now they're gonna feel good. Right?
So you want to make sure you relate to your
audience. Yeah, the aesthetic don't matter. Like as long as I keep listening to new music and listening to stuff and not listening to study or tape, but listening because I actually enjoy it, I always adjust with the times. But the time that I'm not able to adjust is either I've been completely closed-minded, or because I'm done, you know, making music. But I love transition. I love learning new things. I feel like even at this stage of my career and forever, like I'll forever be learning new things. I don't see myself as being in a place where I won't learn new things. I'm completely all about, you know, learning new techniques and learning ways that, you know, the 20-year-old me would have loved to have the opportunity to, you know, to learn. But I love it. Yeah.
That's what's up, and it's like listening to your music and just, you know, hearing you talk and doing other interviews right now. You keep everything real transparent in your life. You know, you don't really try to hold back your emotions. You don't try to, you know, try to cover them up. And you know, even in a couple of the videos that I've seen, I'm like, you know, he's deep. You know, you talk about your time at Quiznos and working there. You ever been back to that Quiznos or not?
Yeah, a few times. I go back. You know, whenever I go to Carson, I try to go back and just breathe it in, because it has the same stank ass smell that I used to hate and dread every time I walked into the work. Because the thing about it, when you're making sandwiches and you got all these different dressings and all these different meats, you go home smelling like everything.
Right, yeah.
Peppercorn, honey mustard, you know, carbonara, all of this stuff.
Used to work
French
out
onion.
man.
Yeah, but there, so you already know how it is. So going home, like sometimes when I go back to Carson, man, I go in there and I smell it. I don't even buy nothing. I might go in there and get a Sobe or something, but I breathe it in to remind myself to stay on course. You know, even when you know, I've been living off of music since 2009. I've been living off of music, and it hasn't always been easy. It's been times where, you know, you do have your extremely broke times and you gotta borrow and all that. But now, you know, it's a different place, and it's like I gotta make sure that I stay humbled and remember the feeling of a Quiznos and what that felt like.
Let me ask you a question. After you quit, because after I quit Panera, I didn't want to make a sandwich for like a couple of months. Was it the same way for you, or was you like?
Nah, I wasn't tripping on the sound. Yeah, I wasn't tripping on the sound. I know I didn't want a Quiznos sandwich, but you know, it's almost like going to jail. You go to jail. You know, I've never been to jail, but from what I understand, you go to jail and you know you're gonna be there for an extended amount of time,
You ain't trying to go back.
you gotta, well, not even just that, you gotta find different things you gotta basically find heaven in your hell.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be here, I might as well try to find out what's some of the benefits of it so I don't go crazy in here, whether it's reading, whether it's working out, whether it's whatever. So that's how I looked at Quiznos. So when I left Quiznos, it was like, I mean, it was terrible, but I do know how to make a mean ass sandwich. Like I know how to make a turkey ranch and Swiss, and you know, and I use that to my advantage. But I knew I didn't want to go back to Quiznos, you know, to do anything else, you know, to not that particular place at least.
I feel you, and that's what's up right there. You know, trying to progress and, you know, going back to humble yourself. I ain't gonna lie, if I was the manager, I'd put a picture of you on the wall, be like, yeah, my Quiznos card.
Well, I was the manager when I was there. Yeah, I was the man. First, I was a shift manager, and they made me manager for a week, and I was a tyrant, and they let me go because I was trying to change everything. I was trying to like I knew from working there, I was bound to be an entrepreneur. I knew it. I knew it when I was working there because I would look at the owner, and he would make such mistakes that were like, I always had this illusion that the owner of a business, you know, knew about more than I would ever know as an employee. I always had that illusion. And when the first day I worked there, the first day I worked there, he says, you know, Dewan, come, that's my name, Dewan. He says, Dewan, come to the freezer, please. I come to the freezer, he's like, can I mix this this chili with this marinara and store it? And I was like, I thought it was a trick. I was like, oh, what do you mean can you mix the marinara? I said, no. He said, okay, thank you. I said, wow, that was a real question. So, you know, when I started seeing that, that I was starting to pick up on the register and pick up on even like I was doing the reports of the night and seeing how much money was made every day, like I know what a successful business looks like. So, you know, there's benefits of learning stuff from there.
That's what's up, man. And then you got your new album, Creatine. Following you on social media, you've been on this you know, health kick, working out. Yeah. Was this inspiration for this new album, and is this something that you want people to listen to as they're working out, or is it just? No,
that's definitely the intention for Creatine is basically a 30-minute intense 30-minute workout where you have music that's not going to stop your pace. The worst thing is when you're on the treadmill or you're in the gym and, you know, are you lifting weights, and then like the soft song comes on and it's like you can't, it's not relaxing, it's just like I wasn't trying to hear
intense, right?
Yeah, I wasn't trying to hear that when I'm trying to pump iron. Like it doesn't feel very masculine. But that was the whole idea. The whole idea was that I wanted to create an aesthetic that would complement somebody who's really intense about their workout. And you know, the beats that I was making at that time just happened to be in that same realm. You know, and just to be able to work with Alpha Pup, who's very legendary when it comes to instrumental albums. They've done Flying Lotus and Gaslamp Killer and DiBiase, and that was one of the first people I saw that had a project with them that I remember back in 2010. DiBiase did that project, and it was like, oh my God, like I want to do this too. Like it's so dope. And his project went to like, I forget what number on iTunes. It just blew my mind. So, yeah.
That's dope, man. And then ended off on this question right here, like teaching, you know, your web series. You got the PM,
AM,
PM, 9/11. What was the inspiration behind that? Like, at what point in your career was like, when did it hit you? Like, I need to teach people, you know, the ins and outs, the mistakes I've made, and you know what not to do. What inspired that?
2000 and not 2000, end of 2015, December, after Merge's show, a Christmas show. I think it was like 26th or the 27th, December 27th of last year, where basically I drove home, and I don't think I had ever felt that loss in my career. Not lost because of any failure, but lost because I didn't feel filled up. I didn't feel like I had purpose anymore. I didn't feel like my music was, you know, having the impact it used to have. And I had just released an album as an artist, which was Raging Waters. And, it was successful. Even Hip Hop DX said that it was, you know, top 25 albums of 2015. And all of those accolades was dope, but I just didn't feel filled up. And I didn't feel like the people were filled up on it. And so I went to the Merge show, and one of my fans told me, they were like, I was like, what you think of Raging Waters? Just like asking, like, you can be blunt with me. She was like, can I be honest with you? I was like, yeah. She's like, it still hasn't grown on me. And I was like, wow, what happened? She said, I was just hoping for something that's like more you, like more aggressive and more,
Right.
you know, less depressing. And it was just something I was like, it was already a thought in the back of my mind that would be the perception, but I just didn't think how real that was. She said it, and she's one of my biggest supporters. When she said that, I had an epiphany moment.
It's crazy because what you're saying, I just recently heard of, or not heard, but like, well, I guess half heard, but it was like a saying. It was like, it doesn't matter about the awards you get because those are arbitrary. You know, they're just you know, a trophy is a piece of plastic and glass. It's about, you know, your peers and what they think about you. And you know, you saying that it shows that you really what you're trying to focus on is, you know,
the people
you're trying to.
All these other publications like blogs and the blogs are beautiful and they're dope. They're cosigns. They're, you know, the hype machines, and they're dope for what they do. And I really appreciate like Hip Hop DX and folks that have opened up their platform to me. But to be honest with you, like I'm no benefit to them. I'm no benefit to them right now. I'm a benefit in that they're covering somebody who, you know, has a building audience, somebody that has accolades. But I'm not the same benefit as, you know, another artist has given them thousands and thousands of views on their material. Like, you know, like I had to have a moment of realization. I had to have a real moment. No more of the, you know, the adage of faking it till you make it. And, you know, I had been so obsessed with that, you know, that whole concept, and not in the concept of I'm gonna be flashy and act like I got money I don't have. I always talked about being broke. Like I said, I've always been very transparent with it. But I mean, even like the looks of things, bro. I've paid for YouTube views before. I've paid for YouTube views to like just to you know, I learned in marketing there's this technique where you basically can balance what people view things as, and you can kind of like push a little bit more, you know, a little bit more leverage on it. People look at it like, oh my God, everybody else is watching. I need to start watching this too.
Right.
I'm not justifying it at all, but I mean I mean I got no problem saying that was the reality of it.
Does that work? Because I've always
no. I'll tell you like this. Paying for views is strictly for vain reasons. It's vanity statistics. Views are vanity statistics. Likes are vanity statistics. And they don't mean anything.
Exactly.
What happens when you have 20,000 views on a video and you go to a show and you can't get 10 people in there? What does that say? First of all, what does that say to your audience? Because your audience who came there is expecting like, oh damn, he had all these views. It's gonna be popping tonight when I go there. Then they go there and it's like
them and 3 other people. Like,
and they almost feel embarrassed. They almost feel embarrassed to be there. So you know, it showed me there's no shortcuts to this. You know what I mean? As much as and it's crazy because I didn't have to pay for views. I was gonna get my views.
Right.
People were naturally gravitating towards it, but I can be such a control freak sometimes that I was paying for the views, man. And even like some of these blogs, man, I was hitting them up about hosting my projects, and they didn't give a damn about my project. You know what I mean? And I could say that now because, like I said, I was lost, and I know I was lost because I was looking for love and fulfillment in all the wrong places.
Right.
And this game, man, it's not for that. You have to go find that spiritually where the fulfillment comes. And I read this book called The Go Giver that my boy Art Barr suggested to me because he had been really on the marketing, the business tip in terms of literature and all of that. And he told me about this book, and he kept telling me about it. And I was like, I'm gonna get to it. One night I was sitting here and I was like, man, I'm gonna just crack that book open. It's 3 hours of an audiobook.
Yeah.
I read it and it changed my whole life. It changed my whole direction at the perfect time when I was still feeling a little bit lost. And I was getting ready to actually part ways with my manager, part ways with my PR. I was still feeling lost. I read that book and it gave me so much purpose and value, and I learned what it really meant to give value and what the word value means. We associate value with money, and we think value means, oh, you know, well, how much is it? Okay, well, it must be good value. We associate it with the wrong things. I did. And so when I started seeing that, you know, if I was a 12-year-old that loved King Griffey Jr. shoes, right? I had loved the Griffeys. If I grow up and they stop making my particular shoe in my size and somebody says, look, I'll get this to you for $500, money is not an object. At that point in time, I'm looking at that value of that shoe. Man, this is what I wanted since I was 12. It changes all the way around. So when you look at value and realize that, that the concept of value, basically I learned what the concept of value really meant and how it could honestly benefit me as as my soul and my purpose and fill me up, and then also how I can actually pay my bills. You know, when you're supplying value to people, it doesn't matter what it takes to make sure that you're able to continue supplying that value. They want you to continue supplying it, so they will take care of your every need without you having to even ask. So if I'm selling beats or if I'm selling products, as long as I'm here to give and as long as I'm giving real value, because if I'm not giving real value, none of this advice works. It has to be something that people are like, I can't believe that you're giving that out. I can't believe that you're releasing these secrets. And I don't believe in secrets. Like, I don't believe that secrets exist when it comes to the knowledge that we all had to learn from our, favorite artists, our favorite CDs. There is no secrets to this craft, and I think it's silly that we even do things like that. So, one of the first things I started to do, like I didn't know AM PM, which is artist marketing and producer motivation. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just want to get on the camera and start talking. So I talked about this new book called The Go Giver in a video called The Biggest Lie in Hip Hop, and the video did to like 85,000 views. It had like
first one.
That's the first one.
Yeah,
85,000 views on Facebook. It did almost 8,000 shares. And, mind you, I had never had a music video for my own music that I ever did that much. And it did that not one time, but it happened 3 more times that week. And something just told me, like, yo, I need to continue to pursue this. I don't know what's happening, I don't know what's developing, but I need to continue to share my value because people see something different in how I'm giving them value. And so that's really got me now into basically going public with my teaching. I've always taught anybody that wanted to learn something that I know. I was never secretive about that, and I would teach it. But now I have the official title of that, and actually I'm starting to, with Judah and his new location in Upland, like I'm getting ready to start doing some teaching there too.
What's up?
With the IE Mind State. So it's just I'm in a space now where I'm understanding that in order for me to now find the success that I've always wanted, I have to make the people the first priority, and I love that that's what's happening right now.
And that's exactly what me and my company we love about you guys. You, Judah, Noah, James.
Right.
It's like just talking to you guys. You guys are really out there for benefiting the community and stuff. And that's what we really want to target at. And the fact that you guys are out there doing something, giving that knowledge, is really commendable. And I just want to thank you for inviting me over here to your house and doing this interview with you. And
thank y'all for being open to have the interview and all of that. So I appreciate it.
No problem. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to let the people know about?
Artists and producers who are looking for drum kits, or looking for artist marketing advice, looking for beats, looking for an opportunity to get blogged. CurtisKingBeats.com has all that. If you need to get in contact with me, you can hit me up on any social network at Curtis King with 2 S's. And from there, I try to hit people as fast as I can. But I will say that I was busy before, but now given this value, I'm even 10 times more busy than I was before. And it's for all the right reasons. So, if you get anything from this, just spread your value, pay it forward. If you got even if you're just starting out, if you're 6 months into it, there's somebody who's not even 6 minutes into it who wants to do this, inspire them, teach them something that you knew. And I feel like this next generation is going to be the first generation that's not so insecure that they won't share anything with each other. Like, I think that's one of the missteppings of a lot of my OGs. I thank God for people like Murs, Dirty Birdie, and Dr. Stank, and those are people who are like, they went against the grain. They gave us game, real game. They were like, man, you gonna give us? Yeah, we're giving you that game because we need you to take this legacy forward. We need you to represent right for the IE. So I'm thankful for those, because those are the OGs that show me that, they're filled up with a lot more than just accolades. They're filled up with a love, They're filled up with people who appreciate them. So I want to be appreciated more than I want to be feared, more than I want to be, accoladed. I want to be respected, and I want to be loved, So I got to do that by, being loving and supportive of other people's dreams.
That's what's up. I appreciate it too, man.